Afternoon, gangsters and ballers. Gav Mack, Osborn and Steven Cotton here for Game Day 35. Review Part 2. How are you, gentlemen?
Not bad, not bad.
How are you?
I'm okay. I'm sort of over the Arsenal result yesterday, but there's a lot more that we need to be chatting about, seeing what go on in the football world. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Twitch, and you can subscribe to our channel if you look below at Top Football on YouTube, just running on the bottom ticker tape there. Also, if you put Two Up Top into Google, we show up first. How lovely is that? Right, as I said, it's the review show. However, there is more information that's been happening today, and we need to talk about that because it's all going Dane in the world of football. Man City, they've had their UEFA ban overturned. Alex, what are your thoughts on that?
Not surprising. I'm not. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about this. To be honest with you, I kind of feel that there's rules to follow, and is it the sport of arbitration? That's the people who've actually overturned the appeal, haven't they? They've upheld the appeal on City, and they've overturned the actual fine in place. So it's not before people go, "Oh, UEFA can't follow through on anything." It's actually not UEFA who's done it. It's this other people who have gone over the top of UEFA. But I also feel like financial fair play is a bit of a sham because I feel like it's only been put in place to stop any club from actually joining the established European elite, and it's to make sure that people are trying to know their place, and that when a club tries to break into it, a la PSG, Man City, that they'll actually try and punish them more harshly than what should be done. So I feel like it's a bit of both, really.
What do you think, Cotton?
I don't think I could disagree with an opinion more. I think the financial fair play is to stop. Look what's happened in France. You say about PSG. Okay, Monaco won the league 2 years ago. Who's won the league in the last 6-7 years? And Monaco won that league title, and what happened to their players? And here come PSG. Here come PSG with 200 million for Mbappe. Here come PSG with shady deals for Neymar that flirted around the rules of football. The Bank of Dubai deposited the 200 million into Neymar's bank account so he could buy himself out of a contract. The financial fair play it should stop teams like PSG, because that's it now. Can you honestly see another French team winning that PSG, winning Ligue 1 while PSG are there with this money in this team? Can you see another team doing anything? And I understand that people do need to invest in teams to catch up, like Everton and Liverpool. Everton can't just carry on like this forever and stay this far behind Liverpool. But to just get brought out by oil barons and trillionaires and then just spending 500 million in a season, it's nonsense, man. Anyone supporting a team in say France, what's the point of your seasons now? You can't start a Ligue 1 season thinking, oh, we might do it this year. When you're Lille and you come up against PSG and it's just Icardi, Neymar, Mbappe, Kimpembe, Thiago Silva on 500 grand a week. What's the point?
You could say the same about Bayern Munich and Germany.
Yeah, but in Germany, Italy. Yeah, but in Germany, they're very good with business, so to speak. You know, half the clubs are owned. It's still the same, isn't it? No, not necessarily.
When was the last team not named Bayern Munich won the title?
Yeah, but 50% of the club, 50% of the club is owned by the fans. So the situation is different in Germany as it is to.
No, Bayern Munich just screw the rest of the league out of different ways. Yeah.
Well, but they've earned their money. They haven't just had someone come in last week and go, "Here you go, kids. Step down." spend all the money you want.
Bayern Munich, they are so shrewd with their business. Bayern Munich will be like, right, okay, Goretzka, I really want you to join. It's like, well, I've got a year left on my contract. It's like, well, tell you what, stay at your club for another year and just come over anyway. They get them on a free. They're paying whatever wages they want because they're saving money on transfer fees by lobbing out big wages.
But how is that helping the rest of the German league? They're not giving a fee to the club that they're buying their best player from, and then they're screwing them over in terms of the TV rights that they get. They're not doing the German Bundesliga don't do the same thing in terms of the Premier League, where they split the TV money equally between all 20 teams, and the prize money is distributed quite evenly as well. Bayern Munich are like, no, we want it all. The same goes with Barcelona and Real Madrid and Juventus. That's why those leagues.
That's on the league.
Okay, it's good. I could agree with you about PSG, but you need to still look at the other clubs and say they're screwing the other clubs in other ways as well.
That's not a financial fair play situation, though.
No,
that's the thing. That's the difference on that one. It's power in that situation.
Example, right? So, well, obviously, when Sky came into the Premier League in 92, 93, and put all the money in the world into it, right? So when we won our first 5, 6, 7 titles. Youth players, right? We didn't spend an absorbent amount of money for the first X amount of seasons, but because we were winning and whatever, we were building a brand. We were making our own money, right? So then when we did start spending in the early 2000s and the 2000s, that's money that we had amassed as a club. It's money we'd earned because we'd become a global brand, etc. So when we got told that we had brought titles because we'd gone out and brought Van Persie, or we've gone out and brought Andy Cole, Dwight York. Fair enough, people can look at it that way, but there's a vast difference of spending money that we've earned to win a title than sheikhs and oil barons just coming into a league, buying a club, and then suddenly 2 years later they've spent 500 million and won the league. That's vastly, vastly different.
Sponsorship deals in the Premier League are different as well. You know, like when a club gets a new sponsor, a new shirt sponsor, it's like, well, okay, that's 30 million a year, you know, which is a lot of money. But then Etihad Airways contribute 400 million a year.
And how annoying is that?
How does that work? You know, that's dodgy as hell. I think Man City have got away with it. I think it's made an absolute shambles of financial fair play. Look at Birmingham City. You know, look at Sheffield Wednesday. They're looking at 12-point deductions at the moment for breaching financial fair play. Man City get a slap on the wrist, a 10 million fine, and they'll be able to crack on and carry on with the rest of their season. I don't like that.
How unbelievably stupid is that, right? That we've said this before. You're punishing a team for spending unlimited amounts of money by fining them money. They don't care. What is 10 million to City? That's not gonna go. Okay, if you give Burnley a £10 million fine, that's next season. They're thinking, right, well, we're gonna have to reevaluate what we're gonna do with the season. Like, we're gonna have to offload some players and we're gonna have to consolidate. £10 million fine to City. What is that?
Reduced from 30 million. As well, it was meant to be 30 million in a 2-year ban. Now their ban has been overturned, and they only have to pay a third of that outgoing.
And don't get me wrong, this isn't because it's City. Like other teams should be looked into. Like you said about PSG, that's a whole investigation that needs to happen. But
do you think
probably won't?
Because Alex, you mentioned Bayern Munich. Do you feel that the other half, like the club half, owned side of Bayern Munich, do you reckon that needs to be looked into?
No, I'm not saying that they need to look into it. I'm just saying that the European elite want to keep it as a small select of clubs, and that any other club trying to get into that European elite, they're going to look down upon and complain and chastise them. I think one of the reasons why probably UEFA have gone so hard here at Man City is I found a good Twitter thread about this, and the reason why PSG haven't quite gotten the same kind of ban initially as City got is because PSG's involvement in the Champions League and the heightened attention on them has kind of opened up the French market for them, which it didn't have before. Whereas City haven't really added to the market here in England because you already had the big clubs like Liverpool, Man U, Arsenal, Chelsea already doing that. that's why UEFA have kind of gone a bit harder at City, because they didn't like to be taken for fools. But that's
They've made themselves out to be fools.
Yeah, they have. Everyone was made to look like fools yesterday, because I feel that if you were to bet correctly, you would have lost a lot of money. It's an absolute acca-busting day yesterday. Let's start off briefly with the Arsenal-Tottenham game, because we did have a watch-along and people were throwing their £2 worth in as we were watching, which we really appreciate.
Can I just say something unbiased, because obviously you two are Arsenal fans, but all three of us here up top would like to congratulate Tottenham on winning the league yesterday. Massive achievement. The celebrations on Facebook and Twitter were absolutely great to see, and I'm happy for them. I'm really happy for them.
Yeah, we all are. Tottenham 2, Arsenal 1. Goals from Lacazette, absolute worldie from 25 yards out. Equalised by a world-class through ball from Kolasinac to Heung-min Son. And then a header right at the end by Alderweireld. Now, Spurs, whoever won that game, had a decent opportunity of getting a European spot, especially with the news that's happened today with Manchester City. Is that taking Arsenal out of the European equation now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't think so. I don't think we're going to get there. Yeah,
I said to you before we came on air, Gav. I said that today's ruling that means that yesterday's game was massive. But obviously it opens up the. I mean, to get into Europe, you're probably your best bet now is either winning the FA Cup, or if City, Chelsea, or United win it, then obviously 7th goes up for Europa. So.
Now, I'm not fussed about Europe. In fact, I don't want European football. And the reason why I don't want European football for Arsenal is because it's a rebuilding side. It's a new manager. And I think he needs a year just to focus on the Premier League and what he's got. It's a bit like when Chelsea went through their little transition. They almost got relegated that year and they finished 10th in the end, I think it was. And the following season, they went on to win the league. I'm not saying Arsenal are going to win the league before anyone starts jumping up and piping up, because I'm not saying that in any way, shape or form. But what I am saying is that it allowed Chelsea to focus more on their season and the 38 games, having fit players week in, week out. And I think that is key for Arsenal. One stat here. Arsenal dropped 15 points from winning positions since Arteta took over. How do you digest that information?
I mean, that's not really. I don't think that's an Arteta problem. I think that's an Arsenal DNA over the last 5 years problem. Because I reckon if you were to go back over the last few years, even the last year of Wenger, if you looked at how many points you dropped from winning positions in Wenger's last season, how many points you dropped from winning positions under Emery, I don't think it would be too much different.
I feel that there is some tactical issues that he needs to overcome. I think Arteta needs to start being more proactive rather than reactive with some changes. That's just a personal opinion. I just think that when you're 1-0 up in games on the hour mark, have a look at making changes then. Don't wait for an equaliser to come in. It was a bit different yesterday because the equaliser only came 2-3 minutes after the opening goal. So that's a different story altogether. But I felt like there was opportunities for change, whether it be like for like, just like change a little bit of, like get a bit more legs in the game, or to, change a bit of shape. I think that could have been done. So I don't feel that Tottenham were anywhere near Arsenal really and truly yesterday until the equaliser. And then after the equaliser, until they went 2-1 up. And then after that, they could have scored a third. They could have even potentially scored a fourth.
Do you know what I would say? And it does tie into you saying that you don't really want or need European football next year. You've got to remember that Arteta hasn't been there long. He hasn't had windows. There might be players in that squad. And I don't think Arsenal or Arteta are as vocal about it as some other clubs are when they say, or making excuses like, we don't fancy this player, we need windows. There's players in that squad that Arteta might not want to play or don't fit his style of football, but because that's what he's got at the minute, that is what he has to. So with the Europa League thing next year, like you said, you might benefit from having a year out, getting a squad together that he likes, bleeding in some of the youth players, and you don't want to be flying out to Turkmenistan on a Thursday coming back and then having to play in the Premier League on a Sunday with a squad that isn't massive, and you've not got a pool of core players that he likes. So it is hard to judge him at the minute, I think, because I know the cliche is give him a few windows, but it really is like we don't know if he fancies those players. Obviously, Ozil is never playing for Arsenal again by the looks of it.
Thankfully.
There was decisions we thought yesterday, like we had the discussion of why didn't Saka start instead of Pepe, but obviously we don't see what goes on the training ground. We don't know what Arteta thinks, because Arteta didn't buy Pepe, did he? Was he?
No, it's an Emery purchase. Yeah.
So that's the thing. Arteta might have come in and he might look at Pepe and go, "You're good, but you're not my kind of player." But we don't know that. So I think it'd be too harsh to judge him, especially on yesterday's result. Like, I think the only reason Spurs won yesterday is they created one or two more clear-cut chances, and I say that because one of the goals was assisted by Arsenal anyway. It was very tight. It wasn't like it was an absolute mauling or a drubbing.
Alex, got anything to add to that?
No, I think Cotton's pretty much summed it up very well there. I think there's a lot more probably going on behind the scenes than we probably think. As it says, alluded to, Mesut Ozil hasn't played a minute of Premier League football since the restart, and I'll keep saying this: he is the biggest problem at Arsenal until he leaves the club, because he's your highest paid player. He's not playing, and when he does play, he's not producing the results of a player who is your highest paid player. And what he's doing is that he's a huge drain on your resources for someone on that wage, and you're not getting anything back from it. There's an issue with Guendouzi, whether it's his attitude, whether it's his application, whatever. Clearly, it's just not meshing well with Arteta. So there's that. And are they going to sell him when the transfer window opens? Does that then open up some funds? Obviously, you've got Aubameyang's situation hanging over the club. Are we going to be able to sell him on if he doesn't sign a contract, even in the reduced market of COVID, with only 1 year left? Are there going to be any clubs going to come in for him, or think, do you know what? We'll wait till we can have him on a free instead? Is that going to happen? Is Lacazette going to leave? Is there going to be other players leaving, like Torreira, Mustafi? All of these are kind of up in the air. So it's a lot to try and digest, and they're obviously still trying to play football. As Cotton said, this is a team that wasn't put together by him. It was put together by previous management. So he's going to want to try and put his own stamp on it. And what kind of flexibility is he going to be able to have? So he's trying to implement his own style in players that weren't purchased by him. So not necessarily meaning, I can't think that Kolasinac is kind of centre half that he wants to play. But because the injury to Pablo Mari, Rob Holding coming back from injury, whether he's good enough for Arsenal is another matter. Socrates I don't think Socrates has played a minute of Premier League football since the restart either. So there's a lot there going all on that he's got to try and sort out. And this transfer window is going to be a very interesting one for Arsenal to see what happens.
See what happens there. Right then, it's time for this.
Look, carry on.
What are Everton?
It's your facial expressions on that just get me.
What are Everton? Wolves 3, Everton 0. Now, this is another acca-buster. No one knew if someone said who's going to win this game pre-match, you don't want to touch it, because Wolves' form haven't been great. Everton, they've been touch and go. They've looked all right after the restart, and the last few games have not been so great. But to predict a 3-0 Wolves, I think would have been very brave. In particular, Jimenez with a penalty just before half-time, then Donker literally just after the restart, and then Alex's good old pal Diego Jota with 15 minutes to go. We love a bit of Jota, don't we? But Wolves is Everton. What are they?
A four-letter expletive that begins with S and ends in T, I think. Honestly, I know we touched on it yesterday. Jordan Pickford. It's scandalous, isn't it?
I thought you were being a bit harsh when you sent me that before, Cotton, and I looked at it again because I thought the move was brilliant. The Neves pass was world class, and I love Neves anyway. He's only 23, brilliant player. And I was thinking, mate, he's slotted that home pretty smartly. And then you look at it again from another angle. Why is he getting beaten like that?
Exactly. Even I was super critical of De Gea the other week for getting beat at the near post, and I think this was even closer. It was literally just inside the post, but it wasn't even just that goal. It was him letting a shot squirm under his arm and barely stopping it on the line. There's a few other instances where he was out of position and he just didn't have a great game. But that's not new. He does this every other game. Jordan Pickford kind of emphasises and is the epitome of what our Everton like. What is he? Some games he is a worldie, and then some games he's dropping a 95-minute goal against Liverpool under the crossbar for no reason. He must be. If he's your goalkeeper, it must be so painful to watch week in, week out.
Alex, what do Everton need to do to move on?
Well,
you've got money.
I think we off air, we were talking about this yesterday. I think Cotton mentioned about Seamus Coleman's interview that he did after the game. I think it was you, Cotton, who mentioned it.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
I seem to recall it. And he was basically saying that, including himself, the whole mentality of the club has to change. And that, I think that's the biggest thing, isn't it? I mean, it seems that no matter who you get in as manager, no matter who you get in as players, they're just going to be inconsistently consistent, if you want to use that phrase. And how do you go about doing that? How do you go about changing the mentality of a club? Does it come from the top downwards? Does it come from the bottom upwards? I mean, I would tend to believe it's got to come from the owners, and it filters its way down.
They've got some good players at Everton as well. Let's not go on like it's a squad that's over.
I think that's what's so frustrating about them, is that they have got good players, they have got a good manager in place, and yet it still seems like this the same old Everton that's been around for years.
I mean, the what is Everton thing? You could go through that squad and you could say, okay, what is Richarlison? What is, like, you could go through so many of them, and Richarlison on his day could play for any of the top 4, top 5. But then some days,
he can play for anyone in world football on his day. But how often
some days,
day?
Exactly. Some days he just doesn't look like he wants to turn up.
Yeah, and like you look at Yerry Mina at the back, he's built, he's powerful, he's quick, he's strong, and you think, oh, he's got the perfect attributes for a central defender. But when is it ever his day?
Michael Keane. Everybody wanted Michael Keane a year or two ago, and
Andre Gomez as well. He can spray the ball around. He can look pretty good doing it. But then you'll see him have an absolute shocker where he can't control a ball, he can't pass it 5 yards, and you're like, what's this clown doing in the middle of the park?
I'm an old school guy, and I love a 4-4-2, but it does not work with Everton. And the thing is, Ancelotti is renowned for being a 4-4-2 manager. But when your midfield is Tom Davies and Gylfi Sigurdsson, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. The way Everton are, they need to be playing a 4-2-3-1. They have to do that, or even potentially looking at having 3 at the back. A 4-2-3-1 will allow that cover. Then you could have Gylfi in behind, or even put Bernard there if you want to. I know Bernard will play wide, but you can play him in behind, and then have Calvert-Lewin or Richarlison through the middle.
He could even go back to the Christmas tree formation he had at Milan, the 4-3-2-1 formation. That wouldn't be too far wrong to go with Everton.
And they've got the players for it. They really have. Like, you could play Richarlison wide. So, like, let's say we can have a look at Tom Davies and Gomez as the 2, because one's deep line playmaker, one can chop.
Still got Delph there as well.
You've got Delph there as well. So yeah, Delph and Davies. You know, if you want some defensive cover.
I know he's been out injured, but that Gabamin, who they got from was it Augsburg? Did he come from?
Is it the French lad?
Yeah.
But Is he French? No, Gabami.
Yeah,
Well, no,
natural-
French, he might be
Ivorian,
French
isn't he?
African or African
Yeah,
French. Or
He's
something, yeah.
Ivorian. Yeah, he's Ivorian. But no matter what formation they do play, they need to stop with 30 minutes left of the game having Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, Walcott, Bernard,
And
everyone
Kane,
else under
yeah.
the sun having 6 strikers up front and just balls to the wall.
That's where another thing where they go wrong. It's like Uber Championship Manager 2 panic mode,
Yeah, because
all out attack.
it's the build.
Hold on, my
Yeah,
headset- my headset
it's struggle.
died.
You kind of create a massive vacuum in the middle of the park, and you haven't got to build up to get to those strikers. You either got to hit it long, and therefore when you hit it long, there's a lot more risk, isn't it, in the ball sticking up top? Yeah,
It's they need to seriously consider some shape changes. But on the flip side, Wolves really important victory for Wolves, and that puts them back in contention for a potential top 4 finish.
Yeah, especially again, you're talking about massive results. That was a massive result for Wolves in staying in the European competition for places for competition, because you say they had a previous slide that a couple of games before the 2 previous games, and now that obviously the only top 4 going there, I think Wolves have pretty much sealed a place at least in the Europa League, haven't they?
Pretty much, yeah. Right then, let's go to Villa. Aston Villa 2, Crystal Palace 0. Couple of contentious situations and decisions that were made, including Palace's opener, if you want to call it that, on 5 or 6 minutes, where the corner was crossed in, and it's come off. It's come off the top of the shoulder of Sacco, and it's gone to VAR, and they've disallowed it, and it's proven quite a shocking decision. I haven't seen any news as to whether VAR have defended that decision or whether they've gone against it. But I think it should definitely have, that goal should have stood.
Well, the problem isn't it with VAR at the minute? It is with that handball ruling, isn't it? That it by the letter of the law. Same with the Lucas Moura one. As stupid as it is, by the letter of the law, they've got to give it. Like the Lucas Moura one, even that one. Whoever was at Stockley Park, and when they disallowed that goal for handball at the Palace one, they would have been saying no goal through gritted teeth. They would have been hands on heads, embarrassed that they had to disallow it. But it's the rule at the minute.
But there's been goals this season in games with VAR where it has been like a glance off the head onto the shoulder, gone in, and it's stood because it's come off the top of the shoulder as if you've gone to head it. If the ball comes down, Cristiano Ronaldo's brilliant at this. Ball comes down, I'm just going to control it on my shoulder, then bring it down. Does anyone give a free kick for that? No. Is it part of a build-up for a goal and the goal stands? Yeah. So what's the difference there as to what happened with Sacco yesterday?
Well, I think that is everyone's major gripe with VAR is not probably the amount it's got wrong, but it's the inconsistency of the things it's got wrong. Like you said about the shoulder, the goal McBurney scored against us, and he's controlled it there, sort of thing. And the VAR, the replay, we all watched the replay and thought, well, that's all well and good. They'll disallow that then because it's handball. And then they still gave it. And everyone, I remember the Sky Sports studio after that, everybody was like, so what are we doing? What are we doing? And then you see that where's it hit him? And I don't even think he knows much about it because he's gone for the header and it's kind of dropped down onto the top of his
shoulder, man. I can't understand how that goal was given. Villa felt that they could have gone 2-0 up with a penalty after Trezeguet scored. Trezeguet's goal was pretty nice, actually, I must say. Both of them, I thought he took them quite well. But Villa felt that they should have had a penalty. When you watch it first time, it's like, yeah, that's a penalty. Jack Grealish was taken out. Yeah, it's pretty clear. But on viewing, it wasn't a penalty. What did you think when you saw it first time, Alex? And then we know what the decision is after. But when you saw it first time, did you feel like it was a penalty?
Yeah, I thought it was a penalty when I saw it in real time. But yeah, as the replay showed, he's taken a bit of a liberty there, hasn't he, Jack Grealish? And I believe that's only the second time a penalty decision has been overturned via VAR this season.
Yeah.
in thinking. Yeah, so I think Jack Grealish has got to kind of be feeling a bit sheepish himself. Do you know what? He probably isn't. To be fair, he probably doesn't care about it. So, but he should be really, because that was appalling. That was really bad.
But West Ham.
Like I said yesterday, when we were, I think, because we were talking during the game, and surely I understand that there's a little bit of contact on his foot, but as we've always said, contact in the box isn't always a penalty. The contact on his foot happens, and then there's about a second and a half, and he throws himself to the ground like he's been electrocuted. Surely, after looking at that on VAR, he has tried to con the referee into getting the penalty by diving that exaggeratedly. Exaggeratedly, don't think that's the word. So surely,
don't they call it simulation? I think.
Well, it is simulating. So is that not a yellow card?
Yeah, well, yeah, it should be, shouldn't it? I think this goes back to when VAR, when you say you look back at VAR using the Lucas Moura case, is that Lucas Moura was a handball, but then it should be a free kick given against the team who fouled Lucas Moura, which made him handball. They don't do that.
It's naughty. It's naughty stuff. With Villa winning, it heaped a lot of pressure on Bournemouth, and Bournemouth were a goal down. Bournemouth were a goal down after 23 minutes with a goal from Jamie Vardy, who's the standout lead candidate now for the Golden Boot in the Premier League this year. Bournemouth had only won 2 points from losing positions all season. Antonio scored that trick. I scored 4 goals at the weekend. So it was only going to. Cheslea scored a brace. David McGoldrick scored a brace. So it only meant that Solanke was going to score this weekend, wasn't it? And they ended up running out 4-1 winners at home to Leicester. I don't know anyone in their right mind that would have put on a Bournemouth -1, or when Leicester were leading, Bournemouth to win from behind, or Bournemouth to win the second half, or Solanke brace. This is the acca-buster of all acca-busters, right?
Yeah, and we all stayed on together after the North London derby to watch this game together, and we were genuinely like, it was one of those disbelief. Like every time Bournemouth scored again, we're thinking, right, that's gonna be bad. Something's got to cancel that goal out. Like that can't be the case. But they just kept on coming.
They did. Leicester were their own downfall, weren't they? Schmeichel for the first goal, kicking the ball straight into the back of Ndidi.
Yes.
Yeah.
Soyuncu then losing his head after not really defending that well for the second goal, and then kicking out and getting himself sent off. Christian Fuchs giving the ball away to Solanke for him to score the third goal. And obviously the deflection for the other one as well. It's just Leicester were completely and utterly lost their heads and just gave it away completely.
First half, I think Leicester had, what was it? It was 11 shots, 5 on target.
Yeah.
And they dominated the game. And I genuinely think they went in at half time, game done. Let's think about next week. We're on our holidays, sort of thing. Because when they came back out, there's no way you should be giving Bournemouth, with their form and their confidence, don't give them any way back into that game. Yeah. And Leicester came back out after that second half like they just didn't care. Like they were all hungover on a Sunday morning. Like it was just sloppy passes. People weren't tracking men properly. They were just, and I think it was more disrespect. I think they were like, when you see, there was a couple of times when, like I said, people weren't marking as tightly or people weren't following runners, and it almost gave off that impression. They're like, it's Junior Stanislas, it's Solanke, like we'll be fine, boys. Pass it round the back with some real hospital passes, it's fine. They're not going to capitalise on it, and they did.
They done well, did. Bournemouth, this is giant for them because they were down and out as far as I was concerned, and I felt that even if they got a draw, they'll be gone forever. And I can't see Bournemouth, if they do go down, I can't see them coming back into the Premier League anytime soon, no matter who they keep or who goes. But now it's just tightened things up even more so at the bottom of the league. So the table reads like this: Norwich, they're down. We know this. They're on 21 points in 20th place. 19th place is Villa on 30 points. 18th place is Bournemouth on 31. Watford in 17th on 34. West Ham 16th, 34. And now we can probably talk about Brighton again now with those results yesterday. And Brighton, they're in 15th on 36. So I think they're safe. I don't think there's anything to worry about with Brighton. But those 2 wins for Villa and Bournemouth is really throwing the cat amongst the pigeons.
Do you know what? I don't think it has. I think that it's good for the 2 of them to have a little fight left in them and make the last week or 2 interesting. But I still think the 3 that go down are Norwich, Villa, and Bournemouth. I don't think it changes too much.
I mean, like the Bournemouth have got Man City during the week, so
exactly. That's the thing. Like Bournemouth put in that shift against Leicester, and Villa finally won a game. But now, okay, they were shocks. But can you look at their remaining fixtures and say you think they're going to get a point or 2 here? Not forgetting that you've also got.
But Villa have got Everton on Thursday.
Yeah, but Villa have also got to rely on other teams around them to be losing as well. So it's not just a case of they have to sort themselves out. They've got to worry about what else is going on. And I think Bournemouth and Villa have left it too little, too late. And you can't survive in the Premier League in the last 5 games. You've got 38 games to do it. And if you leave it down to the wire, then it is what it is.
West Ham Watford on Friday.
But I could see West Ham. I could see. But then again, even the nightmare would be a draw. If they draw Bournemouth and Villa, that's no good for them whatsoever.
And then United have got West Ham.
Yeah, but that's
and then West Ham Villa on the last day of the season.
Yeah, so West Ham could really could.
Arsenal play Watford on the last day of the season.
Decide.
Bournemouth are away to Everton on the last day of the season. So it's not. I don't think it's quite done yet. I think there's still a couple of twists and turns that could happen, especially the fact that Watford and West Ham have got to play against each other on Friday, and then West Ham versus Villa on the last day of the season, because Villa might be gone by then. Who knows?
So yeah,
but Villa might be, but Bournemouth might need a win on the last day to survive. So it's yeah.
So do you think any other team other than Bournemouth and Villa are going to join Norwich? If I had to put you on the spot now, do you think another team?
The fact that you're having to think about that kind of says it, really.
No, it's just the fact that West Ham. I think West Ham will beat Watford. So then that brings Watford back into it, and then Watford might have to rely on trying to get a victory at the Emirates on the last day of the season.
But you've got to remember that
Villa are getting a win against West Ham.
You've got to remember that then Arsenal might not have anything to play. Probably won't have anything to play for. So what does it matter to Arsenal if they win or lose that game?
And also,
from a mentality point, it should.
Don't forget, even if Watford lose to West Ham or Watford have to go to Arsenal, the Villa have still got to win pretty much all of their remaining games. Bournemouth have still got to win their games, so it's not as easy as Watford dropping points. It's will they capitalise on it?
Yeah.
You got to think as well. There's 9 points left to play for all 4 sides, right? West Ham and Watford, obviously, they can't get the full 9 points because they play each other, right? Or one of them can't anyway. Can you see them overturning what West Ham and Villa and Bournemouth overturning a 4-point deficit?
In 3 games.
If Villa win their next game out and that game ends a draw, then there's only a 2-point gap between Villa, Watford, and West Ham. And then that, I think we need to have a look at it on the next lot of fixtures and see where we're at. I really do, and that game on Friday is absolutely key. There are a couple of games before that, though. Tonight, Manchester United versus Southampton. We look at Manchester United's form since they've had Bruno Fernandes, and we know that they have been the best team in the Premier League. It's proven. The table shows that in terms of the form since Bruno Fernandes has joined. But Southampton's away form has been brilliant this year, and it's what has kept them in the division.
I see a draw tonight.
Where are you seeing it going?
Where am I seeing it? I see Manchester United win.
Comfortable win?
I'd say 2-0. I reckon 2-3-0. I think I can understand why Cotton might be a little bit apprehensive yet. Southampton's form has been away from home. Hassan Hutt was a very good manager. However, I just think Manchester United are just a better team. They've got better players and they're banging form. Their confidence is up. And yeah, I just think that will carry them through.
I'll tell you why I think we'll drop points as well. We will drop points because Chelsea have dropped points. And that has been the theme throughout the season. Whenever we can catch up to Chelsea, they've drawn or lost. We draw or lose every single time.
Remember last year when, Arsenal had the most favourable running? Man United were up there, Chelsea were up there, and Spurs were up there. And places 3rd to 6th were open for anybody. And no one wanted it. And I feel like this year it's the same, but people do want it more that are outside those top 4 positions.
Yeah.
They want it more. Villa want it. Not Villa. Wolves want it. United want it. I don't think Leicester and Chelsea they're in a similar situation to a couple of teams last year.
Obviously, our form since the restart has been great, but not to take away from Liverpool because the Liverpool have been the best team in England for the last 2 years. They probably deserved the league last year. They definitely deserved it this year. But when you look at their 24 points clear or whatever, it tells the story of the season that it was like when Leicester won it. Fair play to Leicester, but everyone else just has given up. Like if this United team that had this start to the season finished 3rd, that tells you everything of what the season's been, really, I think.
Chelsea, they have a chance to atone for their errors at the weekend on Tuesday night. They play against already relegated Norwich. Now, if this isn't a comfortable victory, then I don't know what is.
Oh, I don't know. I just don't know anything anymore. And they're at home as well, aren't they?
They are. Comfortable victory, Alex?
Yeah, comfortable victory for me. Norwich. I don't see Norwich getting another point for the remaining 3 games. They just can't defend. It's as simple as that. At this level, anyway.
Well, we'll be back having a look at those 2 games and previewing the rest of the game day 36 on Wednesday lunchtime, 1 p.m. I'll be back tomorrow with Ged Searson, former head coach at West Ham United. Not head coach, sorry, head scout at West Ham United. So we're going to be talking about all scouting football tomorrow. So make sure you tune in for that. It's going to be quite a very interesting show, and it'll also give you an insight as to what happens behind the scenes at football clubs, which is I think is pretty cool. Once again, how can I forget? Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's all going on the bottom there. At 2 Up Top Football. At 2 Up Top Football on all social media. Just make it nice and easy. And if you put 2 Up Top Football into Google, we show up first. Thanks, boys. Ta-ra.